Oh, welcome to Papa Bear's Peppers, and I'm Harold, and today I'm going to be kind of doing a dual type of a video, and we're going to walk inside of here, and I'm going to show you how some of the monsters are starting to get some ripe peppers on them, and specifically at my Chocolate Carbaruga. Now there's a lot of development going on in there, but that Chocolate Carbaruga is starting to get in some of the ripe pods. Now, while the one I'm going to be eating today is not the biggest one on there, it still has good heat and a good flavor actually for a Chocolate Carbaruga. Secondly, we're going to be introducing you today to Nectar for the Gods #4 soil, and it's what I'm going to be using for my indoor grow, and I'm going to be doing a transplant for my indoor grow using the Nectar #4 soil. And also, as you can see over here, the plants are really filling up. We'll do a real quick tour here just to kind of give you a look on the outside as well as a little peek inside the garden there. So as you can see, the plants are really growing fast now. They're getting lots of flowers and everything. There are pods developing, so we're doing really good. This one's starting to fill up, as you can see. I started introducing the nectar, and you can see how the plants are starting to fill in now. Then we move over here to another one of the nectar beds, and it's really filled up well. And we got some of the other plants around, some of my special blends here. You can see, look at the tails on these. This is my Reaper X red version, and we'll see what color it comes out this time, but not neat little tails there. Now look at that one there, really a unique pepper. Look at the tail on that thing, just a long tail. So might have to keep that one for my next stock. Got some gator jigsaws. I don't know, they never got big on me, so we'll see what happens with them. I got one of these gator jigsaws that I've moved into my tent, and I'm gonna continue to push that one out to grow. It's been a really good looking gator jigsaw, so I moved that one in. And again, we got some of the other plants here, and I'll probably be pulling the cover up over these ones here soon just to keep them sheltered, because the temperatures are getting a little low at night, so just to protect them a little bit. And we'll move on in here. Here's some of the monsters, and you can see how big they're getting in here. That level shot I just did a few days ago, and you can see now that the 55-gallon drum is gone, disappearing. So we're gonna keep that going. Now I've got lots of pods coming up over here. These death spirals have some really interesting pods coming up. You can see right here. That one that looks like it may have reverted back. Look at that tail on that thing. That's a interesting death spiral. But I have a lot of pods like this that are really unique and long. I'll show you a couple other of those that really have the shape. Look at right here, I've got one. And then you come down here and there's another one with that unique shape right down here. It's a really good shape. Move into the Carbaruga chocolate here, and this is where we're going to be getting our pods today. Now, as I said, the one that I'm going to be eating is not a big one, but this is going to be one of my stock pods, and there's a lot of big ones like that on here, and that's what I'm going to be using for my next starts for my F5s. Got some really nice Reapers on here. This is my Reaper row right here. And look at, we got some nice pods down here. Some big ones right down in here. Nice and big, and we're forming. Getting nice development in here in the center. As well as we've got down, really hard to get at that one. Right down below there, there's a really nice looking Primatale, and I wish I could get a better view on it, but you barely see it down in there. They're really coming along in here. I'm getting more Primatale pods in here. And I'm just starting to get my Naga strains in here, and they're starting to take off. I mean, everything's developing in the greenhouse now. Tragic turn of events right here. I did a graft on it, and I'm trying to, right down there, I'm trying to graft it back together. I was coming by, and I don't know what happened, but it snapped right off. And so I'm trying to get it to graft back just to see what it does. Got my BTRs over here. Got a unique shape to them. They're the BTRs are more elongated. If you can see these right down here, you'll see what I'm talking about. They're really interesting. So we'll see how they turn out. Anyway, that's what's going on. Looking to soon be having the pods develop here on my Podzilla Purple Long. Got a little tiny fella right here. Gives you an idea of that color that they get, but yeah, I've got some that'll start developing here very soon, and they'll continue to thrive in here in the greenhouse. As you can see, things are starting to really thrive out here. So now we're going to go ahead and take this inside, do a review of the Chocolate Carbaruga. This is an F4, and I've been growing it out ever since from an F2. Now coming up after this season will be F5. But the one we're trying right now is an F4. So let's go inside and we'll give it a shot. Well, folks, here we are. We're inside, and I've got these peppers, the Chocolate Carbarugas, and there's no way I'm eating both of them, folks. I mean, my tolerance is up, but let me give you a close-up look at this one. Look at that thing. Now, this is surely not a huge one. But make no mistake, they are hot. So, this is a cross between a Butcholokia Indian Carbon and a Maruga. This was developed originally by Tony Sherwood. And he really, this cross I've been growing for him since it was an F2, and it's an F4 now. So, getting ready to go into my F5 stage, and the ones that I'm going to be using for seed stock, you've seen in the video earlier, were the big pods, and I'm waiting for those to be my seed stock. They're big, they're the size and shape and everything that I want in that pheno. So that's going to be what I continue on with. Some beautiful peppers in there. Folks, these are a hot pepper, and I'm not gonna lie, I've done these before. They're extremely hot. So we'll see what happens with it. I'm gonna go ahead, open up the knife. We're gonna cut it open, and I'll show you the insides of this beauty. And I'm gonna go ahead and pop that stem out of the way. Whew. Yeah, just like I thought, folks. These are the oil inside of these is crazy. Now let me go ahead and I'm going to get the seeds out of the way. As folks, I can smell it already. I'm in for it. I'll clear that side out just so I can. Oh my. Let's see if I can get a close-up of this and show you what I've got, what I'm dealing with here. Look at the oil. Look at the oil, the buildup oil in there. It's just, these have been nectar grown all summer long. Let's see if I can get this right. That's the other side. Yeah. Gonna be a painful ordeal, I believe. And for those of you who wanna mess with these super hots, I will tell you a good remedy for super hots is orange juice. Contrary to popular belief of milk, yeah, it does. Milk will soothe for sure. Don't get me wrong. Now, one other thing, the seeds are not the hot part of this. The seeds are simply covered in the oil. The placenta is where all the heat comes from on these things. And I'm telling you right now, folks, that's where the burn is, because there's a lot of these super hots don't have many seeds. And it's a fallacy to think that the seeds are where the heat is. It's not where the heat is. The seeds are just covered in the oil. So I'm really hesitant on this because I know what these things do, and I've had them before. But we're gonna go ahead and do this. Papa Bear's peppers. Here's my review. The Chocolate Carbaruga. Already have heat. Sorry folks, I gotta wash it down. Ooh. I knew what I was in for. Right straight off the bat, heat. Searing, burning heat. It went to the tongue on the sides. And it's a builder, it's just starting. It's a stinging heat on my tongue. What I'm reviewing, here's another one of the pods, a Chocolate Carbaruga. Ooh. So I will say, as far as flavor, it doesn't have that aggressively floral flavor. It is hot. A really good heat. It does have a slightly, you know, the chocolatey flavor, but it carries more of an earthy flavor. My tongue is on fire right now, folks. Ooh. It's starting to spread a little bit around on my mouth. Fortunately, no gut bomb. But it's pretty intense heat. It's a quick punch heat. It really hits you. Again, it's a Chocolate Carbaruga. Very prolific peppers. They really put out, the plants do. A beautiful chocolate color to them. Wrinkly, warty. This is actually not a big one. It's about 1.5 inches, but they tend to average about 2 inches, 3 inches. It's a little warm. I always like to try peppers to see what they're like. And to build my tolerance up. And I keep it up. Whew. while I don't have the highest tolerance in the business, I do have an acceptable tolerance. Of peppers, I know it may not be the screaming hottest, but it's no slouch, folks. It's got good heat. I know it has good flavor, especially as a dried pepper for powder. And it's one of my go-tos for powder for giving it a nice flavor. Excuse me. The burn is on the side of my tongue. It's really, I would say it's more like ghost pepper type burn. I would give it about a 6 on heat. It's coming down, I think. I haven't known this one to be recurrent. That was a good sized pot, actually. It was fat, very oily, and well structured pod. It had a good balance of flavor. I'm starting to get my endorphin rush now. I'm surprised that my endorphin rush came on. It's wow. I'm a little bit surprised by the endorphin rush that I'm getting right now. Got my head going pretty good, but I haven't done a lot of fresh peppers this year. Admittedly, the little chocolate berries, what I call a chocolate berry, I tend to eat those, and I'll be just picking them off, and every now and again I just pop one in and eat it. And when I talk about a berry, they're just tiny. I'll give you an example real quick. That sometimes when your peppers, the early peppers are not big, and you get these little berries like this. They're not big at all. They're just little tiny fellas. And what I'll do is, as I'm picking those off for the bigger fruits, I'll pop one in, and it's a good way if you want to know how to build up your tolerance. When you see those little berries, what I call, they're just small. They're fast developing little tiny pods. Take it off, pop it in and eat it. It'll have enough punch to get your attention, but it'll help build your tolerance for when you get into these bigger fellas. And I think I'm coming down now. It feels like I'm coming down off of this one now. It's like I said, it's got good heat. I got a good endorphin rush off it, which I was happy with. Still a little happy with it, but starting to come down on it. It's only been probably 6 or 7. The burn is still on my tongue, but it's very tolerable right now. And yeah, folks, I'll rinse it down with water. Just wash my palate off, because some of them can be a bit, you know, the chocolates can be a bit florally, so I like to be a little bit cool. Again, this is one of Tony Sherwood's little developments, and I've grown a few of his. I've got some yellow Carbarugas in the tent, that one of the first ones to pop up, really quick one. So anyway, all right. Today is from my indoor growing. This is a yellow Carbaruga, and I'll tell you what, it took off. You can see amongst the other ones, it's just taken off and exploded. And I have another yellow Carbaruga coming up right here. So starting to get my seedlings in. And so we're gonna get them going here. But I'm going to go ahead and transplant this one today, and I'm going to be putting it into my NECTAR #4 soil. So this is going to be my introduction for you all for my indoor growing medium, which is my Nectar number 4. Why do I choose it? Because I know it's clean. It's been cleaned and it comes to you clean. You can pick this up on Oregon's Constant Gardener site and then go to the Titan site, and that's where they do their soils. You may have a local indoor gardening store near you that you can have, that they may carry this, or you can have them order it through Scott Ostrander over there at Nectar for the Gods. So this is the Nectar for the Gods number 4 soil, and just to give you an idea what you get when you get this soil, it's the ingredients is peat sphagnum moss, perlite, core fiber, pumice, mycorrhizal fungi, yucca meal, kelp meal, bone meal, diatomaceous earth, clay, basalt, oyster shell for pH adjustment, humus, and lime also for the pH adjustment. So this soil is made for using my Nectar for the Gods. Now you may ask what I got going on here, and I'm making a foliar spray for my outside plants today too, so I was going to give you a quick tip on that. First of all, we're going to open up this bag of soil and we're going to do a transplant. So I'm going to go ahead and just give it a cut right across the top here. The soil is actually very reasonably priced too, I will tell you that. Let me give you a close-up and I'll bring this up to you a little bit so you can see it. Give you a look at it. You can see this soil here. It's a very clean soil and it's ready to grow. I'm telling you, it's a very well-built soil. It's a very clean soil. You're not going to get any bugs or anything like that out of this soil. So I'm going to go ahead and fill my cup up. Normally I would wet the soil, but I'll do it in the cup. I'm going to go ahead and what I'll do is I'll add a little. And now I'm going to wet it down as I'm going to go ahead and use some of my calcite charged water. It has a lot of the biocarbonates in it, so I'm going to go ahead and use some of that water. And I'm going to moisten this soil down. Normally I would pre-moisten this and get it right, but I know what I'm looking for and I know what I need, so I'm going to go ahead and moisten it up. And it's only a single plant, so I can do it this way and I'll be fine with it. I'm going to go ahead and moisten it. I'm going to go ahead and let that soak in a minute. It really absorbs the water really well, so I'm really happy it's going to be taking that well. And I'm getting a few drips, so I'm going to go ahead and let it run just a minute. Let that sit. And while we're doing that, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and make up our foliar spray now. So this is the bottle that I like to use for my foliar spray. This is an Home Depot, and it's only a single gallon sprayer. And I prefer to make a 1 gallon mix at a time for all my plants. I can pretty much cover them all with that 1 gallon. This is my 2 gallon bucket. This is what I always mix in because I'm going to end up, remember I got to pH my soil. I'm going to go ahead and get 1 gallon of water. And a little tip for everybody out there, if you have an air conditioning unit, central air, or you have a heat pump like I do, there's also a collection point on here out the back side of there where I have my drain. All these buckets that you see right back here, I fill those from the water off of my heat pump, and all that is condensation out of the air, the same as you would get rainwater. Very good source, and it's, you know what, it's a good way to use the water that you have free. You're already going to run your AC unit on these hot days, you might as well get some water out of it. Now, the one thing that I have been running in the water from seedlings till now is the SLF 100 in a very light dose, and this is going to help with my food web on my soil and the nutrients to be used. And make a foliar spray. Now, this foliar spray could be used on an indoor garden or the outdoor garden. This is just another way I used to feed. This is really a light feeding that I like to add to the plants. So remember, you need to pH this as well, but I like to start out with 1 tablespoon of the Medusa's Magic, and these are my smaller bottles. It just makes it easier to work with. The Medusa's Magic is going to basically bring in everything that you need for your plant's growth. And with that bicarbonate charge in my water, it's just going to add to the nutrients, and my plants are thriving because of the bicarbonates that I'm using. So I'm just going to do 1 tablespoon. And then I'm going to come in with 1 tablespoon, so this is the Athena's Aminos. This is going to bring the amino acids into your plants and really going to help out. So again, Athena's Aminos is your next one. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add 1 tablespoon of the Athena. Actually, I'm going to do 1.5 tablespoons of the aminos, just because I know how much my plants love it. Okay, so there's my amino acids, and when they're in the flowering stage and everything, in the bloom stage the way they are out here, I like to add a little bit more of the amino acids for the peppers to really develop. So we've done that. Now I have that installed right now. Now if I want to, and I'll probably do it on this one, is I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of my bloom kale. It's not going to require a lot since I just did a feeding. And I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of the bloom chaos. Now we'll go ahead and we'll add the 1 teaspoon of bloom chaos to this. Now I'm going to go ahead and pH. And if I need to bring my pH down, what I can do is I can use Gaia Mania to lower my pH. This is a great way to do it and add more nutrients to your foliar spray. So with that being done, I'm going to go ahead and check my nutrients on this. And I'm at 6.76, so I'm just going to drop it just a scotch. I'm just going to add a very, very light dose of the Gaia Mania to lower it a little. Oh, make sure you shake it. You always shake your nectar for the God's nutrients. Don't put them in without shaking them very well. I'm just going to like a splash. That's really all you need, is just a very, very light amount. And let's see where we're at now. And that dropped me down to 6.5. I'm okay with that. Between 6.2 and 6.5, I'm happy with that and what it turns out to be. So I've got it all prepared. And then what we're going to do is go ahead, and just to make sure it's clean when I go in, I'm going to do a little extra something on this one because I see some particulates in my spray water, and I don't want anything to clog my nozzle when I'm doing my foliar spray. What I have here is the standard landscaping fabric, and I wrap it around a net pot just like this, and that allows me to tuck it in and create a filter similar to running like a coffee filter. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this cup. So what I've done is I've got a hole in the bottom of this, and then I've got my net pot in there, and I'm just going to set it right here, and this will allow me to filter it right through. And let it run through. That way you make sure you don't get any kind of particulates in there that'll clog your nozzle. The size of this net pot is a 2.5 to 3 inches. Anything in there is fine. That's what I normally use for filtering my water off of my heat pump anyway. You can see it's going through just fine. I'm not having any problems with it going through. I'll give you, hopefully you can see this. I'm going to go ahead and pour it in. Drains through pretty fast, so it's really a clean way to do it. And I'm full, folks. That's a full fill right there. And now I've got a nice clean spray to put through. And that really doesn't filter out anything because of the fact that once I mix it like I do, it's blended into the water quite well. You're not going to have much of a lag in that, so you won't cause it. So that being done, I'm done. And now I'd recommend one thing: spray to the bottom of the leaves when you do foliar feeds. All your receptors for the plant's leaves are on the bottom side. That's where they're going to take up the nutrients. Yes, they'll take on trace minerals from the top of the leaves, but if you ever notice you have that waxy film on your leaves, that's a protective cover, not only from the harsh rains and everything and the rays. It's an overall protective cover. Underneath those leaves is where all the receptors are that the leaves can absorb the foliar spray that you give them and intake that plant food right away, just like that. So, little tip: turn your nozzle over just like this and spray to the underside of the leaves. Nice misting cover, and you'll have great results from your foliar sprays. Too many times I see that is people just spraying over the top of their plants, and it's just not as effective as if you spray underneath on the bottom of the leaves, where all of that nutrient can be absorbed by the plant's leaves through the photosynthesis. So, all right, well, we've given this time, and it's had plenty of time to drain, and that'll also keep my seedling moistened when it is transitioning. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. Now, for this seedling transfer, it's still quite a young plant, and I could go ahead and a little bit of the one shot into here. Give it just a very light dose of this, and just enough to get the plant some nutrients to thrive on. I would say that maybe a quarter of a teaspoon, and it's just starter. It really is nothing more. It gives something the roots, and if you notice, I have quite a few leaves on this already, so this is just from getting the SLF conditioning that it started out with. And I always use the SLF in the water to keep them hydrated and keep that microbial food web going for the plants. Folks, the SLF 100 is a very good product to have around. It has so many versatile capabilities. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll show you this real quick. Look at this seedling. Started. Let me get that tag for that one. Started on 7/9 of this year. And look at the root structure already on it. It's really starting to take off. Remember on the first episode, I plant a lot so I can get a few very strong ones. That's my very strong one for the yellow carbarugas. If I get nothing else, I have a nice solid start for my indoor grow. So, we'll go ahead and we'll get that one. It's going to be going back under the light here really soon. So, we're going to go ahead and keep moving along. And while I was out here, I went ahead and coated my tags with covering for that, so that would protect them from fading or doing anything else. And as they get older, I'll attach them to the actual box of the plant. So we'll go ahead and put these back in. Where they need to be. And these will also go under, and we'll keep keep pushing on them to get them to grow. So there's one of my first transplants, and my introduction for you to the Nectar for the Gods #4 potting soil blend. A very, very good soil blend, folks. This will compete with anything that's out there. Now you can go on to Nectar for the Gods, and if you buy in bulk, you can get a pretty good deal on this. Even if you buy it in bags, you're going to pay a little shipping, but you can always use my Papa Bear 20 promo code and get 20% off. And folks, you'll see that the price on this soil is very reasonable on there. Give it a look on the Wet Nectar for the Gods site. It'll direct you to the other. If you just go to Oregon's Constant Gardener, go to that website, it'll direct you to where the soils are and everything else. So we got our first transplant of the indoor garden grow, and you'll be seeing this develop as it goes. It's already got 6 fresh leaf starts, and it's starting on its next set. Really taking off well, folks. This is running under my SF2000, and I'll take you in there really quick and look. All right, folks, well, here we are back inside, and we're going to go ahead and bring these in. What I've got is these little saucers for when they're first starting out, so that I can keep it relatively contained on what's going on in here. I'll bring this guy right under and get it nice light from this SF2000 light I got here, the Spider Farmer SF2000, and really pushing on that grow again, folks, for our indoor grow. So just so you see what's going on, we got things going in the grow tent, and we got our first one transplanted, and we're going to go ahead and keep working on getting our seedlings started. Hopefully you picked up a tip or two today. There's a little preview of some Nectar for the Gods #4 soil. A really good mix. It's clean. It's a great indoor soil. Well, folks, I hope this was a good episode for you. I hope I showed you a few tips that may help you in your growing. And as you can see in here, in the greenhouse, the monsters are getting big. They're really thriving. We did something with a preview of the Nectar #4 soil, which it's been around for a long time, but just bringing it in to show you guys what I'm using in my indoor grow. Now I plan on getting a lot more of that for next year. Then we went on to a planting of one of the new seedlings that we got for our indoor grow this year. That'll be interesting. Also went over a foliar spray, a very simple foliar spray that'll allow you to feed your plants and allow them to thrive even more. I like to give them a little extra nutrients when they're in that flowering and the podding stage to allow the pods to get more nutrients. I found there to be a lot more oil inside of those pods when I'm using this Nectar Nutrients line, and it's really been doing a great job. They're even bigger now than they were during the shooting of that particular part of the video. Lots of thriving pods in there. This is Harold with Papa Bear's Peppers. Hope you have a great day and keep growing.